Bat music.
He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Returns, the podcast where we sink into a deep puddle of Tim Burton's 1992 Batman sequel, Batman Returns, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And here to lead the listeners on a merry journey into the toxic waste of Tim Burton's movie, it is I, John Parker.
And today we are joined by someone, from a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. It is the admirable Admiral Pete Mummert.
Thank you. Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, not bad, not bad. We haven't been promoted to Admiral status since we last spoke to you. We haven't caught up with you yet.
No.
Well, you guys are coming from the underground here, so the sewer, so maybe you guys get something better.
We can try to get up to mayor status and then go toppling straight back down again.
That's actually made me think about the... we haven't really seen them in action yet, but the Penguin Army. I wonder if they have ranks.
Oh, yeah.
I'll save it, though. That's like all of... We've got so many minutes that are pretty much just penguins walking around with rockets on their backs. Save all material for it.
I could watch and talk about penguins just on screen non-stop. I will never be bored.
But this minute, though, is minute 102 of Batman Returns, and it begins with the penguin showing off his new brawly, and it ends with 1 minute later with the organ grinder seeing something shocking.
The looming shadow of doom.
That's one of those things, too, where we're saying, like, this is almost Vincent Chiavelli's last minute, but not quite, because we got, like, 2 seconds of him in the next minute as well.
For all intents and purposes, it's his last proper minute. Come on.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Danny DeVito in this movie. I love Danny DeVito in almost everything. And he's so over-the-top creepy, and I think that's wonderful. But I think, to me, the creepiest part of this entire movie is right at the beginning of this scene. Because he does this little dance, and the whole time he's doing the dance, he's making eye contact. And it's just so creepy and awkward. Like, if someone does that in real life, that's just like, ugh. And it's so amazing.
I need to steal that. I'm going to freak everyone out now just by doing this. You don't even need the umbrella necessarily, although that does add another level.
Well, that's the thing, like, because I was trying to get along with you. Like, no, both you people know, but for the listeners, we're trying to book Professor Christy Porter as well. And she said she'd love to be on the show. Yeah. She's happy to come in for any Joel Schumacher material, but she finds Tim Burton movies too scary, apparently. And I was kind of like, wow. Yeah, weirdly enough, this is like one of the creepiest minutes in the whole movie as well. So
this is what we would have given her, actually.
Because it might be me now, just because I've watched my niece grow up, and she's like near 9 now, and I've got a little nephew, and I've got most of my friends now have all had babies in the past like year and a half. So whereas this kind of stuff didn't faze me back when I was younger, just this thing now of the penguin whipping out this umbrella, and then the little sort of mobile chimes playing the penguin theme. Yeah. And the fact then that he's talking about, I am going to lure a bunch of small children to drown in toxic waste. And he's just gleefully talking about it. Actually really creeps me out now. I'm like, this is really messed up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrifying. And I like the way he calls it a little pied penguin action.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of people as well forget that part of the Pied Piper story. That, okay, he leads the children away. But in most tellings of it, it's to essentially either kidnap them or kill them.
Yeah.
Right, to kill them, yeah.
Although I will bring up a fuss, though, because I do know that Pied, like the Pied Piper, he was a Pied Piper because he was wearing multiple colors. That's what Pied means. Oh. And this is a very monochromatic outfit the penguin's got on. So technically, he's not a Pied penguin. He's got a Pied umbrella. I'll give him that. But
Well, there you go. At least some of it is pied.
you could have said pied parasol action, but it would have worked better. But
Yeah, that's good. I always figured that was because of his flute or something.
Yeah, I thought it was to do with that. That's blown my mind. It's ruined the whole
Yeah,
thing.
me too. Although it makes sense. We've got a bar here, a really famous bar in San Francisco, and it's called the Pied Piper. And it's got a really famous painting. It's got this priceless painting behind the bar by Maxfield Parrish, one of my favorite artists. He's one of the great illustrators of the early 20th century. And he did this giant painting of the Pied Piper luring all these kids. And it's in this kind of crazy Technicolor. And if you look it up online, it's spectacular. And it's just behind this bar in a hotel.
That sounds amazing.
But it's so colorful. And now all of a sudden when you say that's what pied means, it's like, oh, okay.
It all makes sense, finally.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to have to post a picture of that into the group when this episode ends. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's an amazing picture.
I do know.
Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I tried to do a little bit of looking into the history of the Pied Piper.
Oh, me too. Yes, that's where I was going to go.
Go
ahead.
I know. I was just gonna say that it's because it's a folk tale that is basically sort of comes from oral tradition, so there's no specific origin for it. But the kind of earliest mention of it seems to be through a stained glass window in the Church of Hamelin, because that's why it's the Pied Piper of Hamelin. That dates from 1300s, but. In keeping up the oral tradition of it, I would encourage people that if you want to hear a big in-depth version of the story, Bat-Minute alum Dale Kingsmill actually recites the whole story in one of her series of fairy dales that she does on her channel. So you go over to Monarch's Factory, and she does that in her usual sort of informative but very, very funny fashion. So there goes a little plug there.
Do check that out, because I'm sure any information I have will pale in comparison to what she can tell you. But this window you're talking about, Niall, they believe that it was made in memory of a tragic event for the town. Because the Hamelin town records start by mentioning this event. Because the town records, the first thing in there from 1384 says... It is 100 years since our children left.
Oh, my God.
But there's no mention of why these children have left. That's just the start of the record. It's like, holy crap.
It's like Nightmare on Elm Street 6 when they arrive in the town, and it's just like there's no children left. The parents are just all going around crazy. It's like, yeah, we don't have kids here anymore. Like, they're all dead.
Like Temple of Doom, too.
Yeah. Oh, my God. It is like that. I suppose they are kind of like the Pied Piper, those guys.
Yeah.
Or the Pied Pipers, plural.
Just for some reason, I was just thinking, like, when you started that story, it just immediately brought to mind in The Simpsons, though, just like, oh, Lisa, there's no record of any tornadoes hitting Springfield. Like, yes, but the records only go back to the 1970s when the Hall of Records mysteriously disappeared.
Oh my God, that's all I'm going to think of now. But there are numerous theories in place to try and explain what this line means. Like, some people, I'm not going to go into all the proof. You can look that up yourself. But some people think it's death by disease, like all the children caught a disease and died. Seems a bit unlikely, because why just the children? Could have been starvation, or there was a big landslide as well. Again, I don't know how that would take out all the kids unless it crushed a school. But then there is also speculation with some proof that the children were kidnapped by a heretic sect.
Ooh.
And then sold on to like a Baltic group.
This is very Temple of Doom now that you're talking.
Very. And then there's another theory, which I liked as well. If you want another one, there's more. There was supposedly a children's crusade, as in the actual crusades, but for kids. Let's take all the children. So a recruiter apparently came to town, and the theory is that he took the kids off to war with him. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's one more.
No.
There's loads of these. And look them all up, people, because there's too much information to put into this. I'd be here for 5 hours. But it has also been linked, possibly, another theory, to the mass psychogenic illness in the form of dancing mania, it's called.
Oh, yeah, the death dance.
Yeah, it's weird when you look it up. It's like dancing mania outbreaks happened quite a lot, seemingly, in the 13th century for some reason. Including one noted here from 1237, in which a large group of children travelled from, I'm going to butcher this, Erfurt to Arnstadt, which is 20 kilometres, jumping and dancing all the way, as you do, you know. It's very weird. So, they don't really know what happened to these kids. They just know they were gone for some reason, and that's a fact in the town.
That's a good story. Those are good stories.
Well, the only story I heard about it was apparently at one point Hamlin, they had this weird deformed guy who was going to run for mayor, and then they found out he was actually conning the whole city, and then a while later he just drowned all the children in this toxic waste.
Did anybody rip someone's heart out of their chest while they were still alive as well? Is this also happening?
I was wondering about this. If you dip the kids in this toxic waste, do they become penguins as well? Like, is his goal that he's making a whole little army of himself, like kind of little clones?
Oh my god, that would be so
do
good.
you think he's just going to kill them?
No, that'd be perfect. And it'll only do that, though, if there are penguins swimming in it at the time they go in. It's a bit like The Fly. They blend into one.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing, though. Like, which is more disturbing, though? Because you think, like, oh, yeah, he just turns them into him. Wouldn't be that bad. But then, no, it is pretty messed up. 'Cause, like, I remember, the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, dear.
And there's, there's a bit where they show you, like, when you're arrested by Koopa and that, what they do to you is that they turn you into a Goomba. Yeah. And they de-evolve a guy's head. And, like, he's a protest singer, and then they de-evolve his head, and he turns into, like, a little lizard guy.
It's really dark.
It really messed me up, yeah. I remember there's a bit at the end of, was it The Guyver as well? Where, like, Mark Hamill turns into this insect thing. And I remember it scared the crap out of me. So the idea of being turned into something else could be potentially worse than if he just flat out drowned you in toxic waste.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know I mentioned The Fly, but more recently, it's not that recent, but more recently than The Fly, you had District 9.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that was horrible.
Yeah.
I never got at the end of District 9, though, because, like, could he no longer talk like a normal person then?
No, he couldn't, I don't think.
So he just had to go around clicking and stuff. I think because he's only kind of at the beginning stages of the transformation. So by the time that he comes around to, like, yeah, I guess because he can talk, he can understand them, but they can't talk his language. Oh, it's not District 9 minute, so we shouldn't get into it, really. But
it should be.
No.
But then what happens if they dunk Max into the water? Like, does that just kill him, or does he also turn into something? Like, would he be a giant penguin?
He becomes the Emperor Penguin.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, that would be perfect. But he keeps the hair.
It just becomes like two like big protruding gray feathers on top of his head or something.
He's like Papa Smurf of penguins.
Oh, yes. You know for a fact they would do this like in the cartoon series or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they would leave the hair.
I do enjoy the fact, though, that the penguin has got in his atmospheric lighting guy. Because last time we saw the sewer, it was just a dank-looking sewer. But now it's like, oh, no, I got a nice lime green light over in the corner here to make that toxic waste look even more like toxic waste.
That's that campaign money coming through.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
He's been funneling the funds off for new lighting and things.
I do wonder, like, has that light always been there? And he's just like, oh, we don't turn it on unless because I've got to save electricity down here. Jesus Christ, I'm not made of money.
Well, that's an interesting point, actually. Does he have an electricity supply? Does he have a generator? Has he tapped into the city's supply somehow, and he's cheating it? A bit like you always get what am I trying to think of? Like carnies in shows, they're always stealing electricity.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess he because then the big fans and stuff in the background are still going on, and then Max Schreck is himself electrocuted down here. So I guess there's a power going through the room somewhere. Something's definitely lighting up that thing. So
I suppose you just need to sort of reconnect that. Because there's like a generator there or something, isn't there? Just reconnect that to the city's supply, and people might not notice. He's not using a lot of electricity.
They did establish at the start of the movie that there's a power surplus in Gotham.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess nobody would notice if there was, somebody just stealing a load of electricity.
Yeah, sneaking under the radar.
But I must say though, in the not to go back too far, but talking about the Penguin's Pied Piper analogy of himself. Do you guys think it would be better if like because the whole succinctly put the legend of the tale of the Pied Piper is the city's infested with rats. This guy comes along and he's like, I can get rid of your rats for you, and then he uses his magic flute or whatever and he entrances the rats out of the city, drowns them. And then they come back, and then they con him out of his money, basically. And then and vengeance goes after the children. But like, because if we try to apply that to the Penguin, you can see that. Okay, so this is a guy who came up, and then he was trying to help the city. Do we think would it be better if we saw something like he was getting rid of the Red Triangle gang, like he was actively going like, oh yeah, the crime stats are way down because of this, what things that the Penguin's been doing or something. And then when he's ousted by the city, would it be a bit more appropriately like he's like the Pied Piper? Because then at the end he's like, oh well, I was helping the city, then they screwed me. Now I'm coming back for your kids. Whereas this one was like, I was always just screwing the city, and the city found out, and now I got nothing.
Yeah, I like that. Making that parallel.
Yeah, I think that's better because we're going to get more into it in the next few minutes, but. He seems annoyed at the city. He's angry at the way they've treated him. But as you said, his whole plan all along has been to screw them over.
Yeah.
It's not like he went good for a little bit. He flirted with the idea of turning into a good guy. But all along in the back of his mind, he's like, I'm going to kill these kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, though, he does talk about drowning them in a deep puddle of industrial byproduct. Because it's a bit more than a puddle, that thing. Like
yeah.
It's like it's a reservoir of industrial byproduct.
And also, it's an interesting thing. I like the punishment he's inflicting on Max. He's going to make him watch the kids, I assume, die or transform into penguins, as we've discovered. He's going to make him watch while they're doing that in the toxic waste that he's created, and then throw him in. That's great.
I feel like that's not really. I love the irony there, but I feel like Max isn't going to care that much.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a weird one. Like you would think this man as well wouldn't care about his son. He seems like someone who.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's
wouldn't be. He would throw his son under the bus. But in the minutes leading up to this, it was bizarrely the opposite. Like
that's true. I was shocked by that too.
I must imagine this is the major problem Max would have with this is like, oh, I have to wait around while you drown these kids. Like, if you're gonna kill me, just do it now. Like, I don't have to sit here waiting and watching and listening to you for ages. But
it's part of the.
Oh, it's also funny if Max just loves kids.
Yeah,
like if you just like, oh, coo, 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 coo.
Maybe it's his weakness. He can't help it.
Yeah.
That's how you break through the icy exterior of Max Shrek.
But we'll again just note how intensely creepy the music is here as well. Just because then it has. I think this is called the Children's Hour on the soundtrack, nice. Which is even more ominous. And but as the Penguin says, like as he's talking about that, I did wonder as well if the music is supposed to be diegetic, like. Is the umbrella actually making that noise, or
it feels like it might be?
Yeah, I thought it was because a mobile that you put above your baby's crib or whatever tends to play a little tune.
Yeah, yeah, and it's got that kind of that toy music maker sound.
But then that'd be see. Well, the question is about all of the Penguin's umbrellas is like, did he have this specially made for this purpose, or was this a thing he always had? So it would be kind of like, if you wanted to equate it with, like, in The Dark Knight Rises, we have Bane's theme, is that, Basara, Basara, Bishi, Dishi, Basara, and the thing goes out throughout his entire run. It's informing the character that's Bane's theme. And the reason it's Bane's theme is because that's the chant they have down the pit when when everyone tries to escape, everyone chants that. So it's sort of giving you an indication that this has informed his, his life and stuff like that. And then, of course, you find out that everything you knew about Bane was actually about Talia al Ghul, so it doesn't actually make sense in the movie that would be his theme. But whatever, this isn't Dark Knight Minute. But you go. if you want to, equate that with this, though, it'd be weird. If, the Penguin had this weird umbrella his whole life, and it's a theme he always heard or something, and that's part of why it's his theme tune as well. Like that he's actually, maybe having this thing around has informed him in some way as a character.
Oh, I like that. That's really cool.
Well, it's interesting because it's got one of the things hanging from the mobile part is a rubber ducky that looks almost exactly like his car.
Yeah. And that, of course, that rubber duck was present in the front of his the cage they put him in at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
It was dangling in front of that as well. The presence of the duck, or the presence of the duck, seems to be like constant throughout this guy's life. So, yeah, that's what like. I just kind of want to do almost like a deep dive. It's like, where would this umbrella have come from? Did this inform his whole love of? Because imagine he had this as a kid. Like maybe the rest of the carnival who adopted him, they couldn't find a mobile for him, so they made this umbrella.
That's what I like to think. Yep.
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and it made this.
And they took
theme.
his rubber duck and put it on the umbrella.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and then that was there, and then this has been with him. It's reminded him of his like childhood, been shunned from privilege and stuff.
Yeah.
And been a complete outcast, and so that's why it's so. That's why he's still so into the duck and stuff. And like, yeah, it could be,
Well, and it totally tracks for the Red Triangle Gang as well, because we've seen that they're very handy. They can make gadgets.
Of course,
yeah. And they probably don't have a lot of money. So going out and buying a toy for a kid, that's expensive. We've got this stuff laying around. We can make it ourselves.
And if you look at the umbrella, like it's kind of made out of red and white triangles.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I like the idea that they did make this.
We've broken this wide open. Tim Burton's been waiting all these years for someone to notice.
I'm trying to look at the other things on the umbrella though, because there's a green frog, there's a blue squirrel, there's some kind of, I think it's a goldfish. But then it starts moving too fast. There's some kind of purple fish as well.
It's like a purple shark or something.
Yeah, and then but that point that cuts is like, no, you ain't getting to see no more of this umbrella.
I really hope there's some fan out there who has recreated this exactly and can tell us what that is. I'm sure someone will. Someone will.
Yeah,
have made a copy.
Somebody has. Yeah.
But of course, then we get the penguin starting to do the little dance that freaked Pete out so much there at the start.
Is he trying to be cute with it? Like, I'm fun, I'm happy.
I think he's genuinely in a dancing form. Like he is so excited about it. Because if you recall, even the start of the scene, he was like, "Oh, this is gonna be good." Like he's been looking forward to this, presumably for like years.
Yeah.
And it's just his eyes, like his eyes are so fixated on making eye contact, and his eyes are kind of bugging out too, which makes it even crazier. Yeah.
Well, as the penguin's prancing around, we cut then though to the organ grinder driving a train through the city streets.
It's the most conspicuous thing seen on the streets of Gotham since the Joker was driving a goddamn parade float and throwing money at people.
Hey, in this city, this is probably the least weird thing that's happened this week.
But again, the problem we had with that at the time is like, where were the cops? Like none of the cops showed up when the Joker was out in this parade float, even though he said, "I'm going to go out and do this."
Yeah.
At this point, like, why there's no? I guess we're only seeing like a mild little bit of this scene. You never know. Maybe they killed a bunch of policemen on the way here and blew up a few police cars and stuff. But it just seems like, apparently we're to take it that every single parent in Gotham was at that masquerade ball, and that's why this is so easy for them to just go and take all these kids.
And again, though, as we've brought up in the past, this whole plan is hinging on the fact that the firstborn sons are all babies.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't be. But this whole train is designed around them being babies. And using the mobile at all, that's baby related. That's like what?
Yeah.
The firstborn son could be 35.
But that's you could also as well, like he's really so convinced, like, oh, I'm going to be able to lead them in with this mobile umbrella. It's like, I'm pretty sure everything else in the situation is going to terrify them. That umbrella ain't going to do nothing for no kid. Like,
Oh, but this train, look how cool this train looks. My
This
train
train's
to work
amazing.
is not like this.
No, nor is mine.
We need to start something. We need to petition our local companies and say, look, recreate this for
Yes.
us, please. I'll fund it. I don't care.
Do you think this was used to be a, like, you know, if you go to Disneyland or they've got the little tram that drives around without tracks? Do you think this was one of those originally at the zoo?
It's got to be something like that, hasn't it? And he's repurposed it to somehow go on the city streets. But yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, actually, I say that. But when you actually look at it, is it genuinely moving by steam power?
I guess because there doesn't seem to be anyone in along with the organ grinder throwing coal into the furnace or anything.
But it does have steam coming out of the pipe.
Yeah, it does have steam coming out. Yeah.
That's confused me.
Yeah.
Unless there's like somebody inside that giant wheel or something, and that everything's hidden in there, but we just
Unless
can't
the
see
monkey is like occasionally like chucking something into the furnace.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. I love
That
it.
monkey has so many jobs in this.
Hey, that monkey is the real brains behind the operation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
He's the most overworked character since Alfred, though. He's just
He should
do
be
everything down these damn sewers.
There should be a scene where he and Alfred like sympathize with each other.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah, after it was like the monkey runs away, goes to Wayne Manor, and then Alfred's just trying to talk Batman into like the monkey could come in handy. He's like, "Oh."
Yeah. Well, you know, rich, eccentric men do often take in monkeys.
Yeah. But then you
Yeah.
find out that like Bruce does a little digging into the monkey, and he finds out that he's actually like the great grandson of a monkey that was, you know, a Nazi sympathizer.
Oh,
Died from eating a poisoned date way back in the 1930s.
crossover.
I still
potential.
hold it. That monkey was innocent. So I would like to think this monkey is completely innocent as well.
I would like to agree. The monkey isn't a Nazi. Come on.
We're going to go through like I was going to make some kind of joke about the monkey Nuremberg trials or something. That seems way too dark.
This is a Tim Burton movie. You can go as dark as you like. That poor monkey, just because he was taken in by Nazis, he's not one of them.
Yeah, he's trying to make everybody happy. So whoever he's around, he's gonna try to make happy.
Exactly.
He doesn't know that what he's doing is bad.
Exactly. He just wants some food. They're giving him food.
Yeah.
He's okay.
And this guy, you know, he just there are kids out there. I'm making them happy. This is great.
Yeah. Oh, the poor guy. Batman. Why
He's got
doesn't
his
Batman
little-
take him in? Come on.
I know.
I do like though in going through the things we see on the streets of Gotham. Like the neon signs, because you know they've stepped up slightly from last year's motel. Because we've got the laundromat as 25 cents, and then just like a few feet down, guns.
Yeah, guns. And I like all the like bail bonds, and I like Sewer Man.
Yeah, what is that? Is it like a bar?
Well,
I don't know.
That's what, because if you freeze that though, this really intrigued me, because yes, Sewer Man, and it's a top hat, and it's a guy with a long pointed nose.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. Is it like a front business for the Penguin? Like, is it like he set this up surreptitiously?
Yeah.
Ooh, he's got his finger in many pies. I like this.
Yeah.
Well, but it made me think as well that, as we've mentioned several times in the show, that there was originally a whole thing where Batman had been, you know, in original drafts, and actually things I've uncovered as we've, you know, been recording and stuff. It was a concept that ran so deep into production that there was going to be that Batman himself had been heavily merchandised by the people of Gotham. So there was actually going to be a Batman store where there was loads of Batman merchandise. And I found out, and you can get pictures of it. I'll post them in the listeners page. They built a set for it. There's loads of bat tats.
Wow.
There's a, like, you know, replica bat suits in it. There's bat sleds. There's bat hangers, like the clothing hangers, kind of Batman shit and stuff. Whole big thing to do with that. So if they had that in mind, it wouldn't surprise me that if there was rumors of a Penguin Man in the sewer, and then for a little bit, like, oh, that guy from the sewer saved the baby and stuff, there's some opportunist guy has just been like, Sewer man. I'm calling my new place that, my new bar. All I know about him is he's got a top hat and he's got a pointed nose and he lives in the sewer. It's the Sewer Man bar.
And it's also quite a good name for it because it's like an underground bar, isn't it? You have to go down the stairs.
Yeah.
So it's like that's quite funny. I would go to that bar.
I do think in one of the drafts as well, they did mention that there was Penguin merchandise up in, like, at his height. He was outselling Batman and stuff in the stores. So it could be that's actually the leftover from that concept. That they were planning to do it so far into production that they had built a Batman shop and stuff for the purposes of the movie. It wouldn't surprise me if that was a leftover little thing that they had there. But
that was going to be a major part of it. And I do really like that aspect.
Yeah, I do too.
It's a shame it's not in, but I suppose it would just make the movie even longer. It's long enough. Like, I love it. I love every minute of it. But if you added another 20 minutes or something, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's the only reason John has signed on for this project is because he knows that the movies get slightly shorter every time. Although I can't actually verify that because I think this is an identical length to the first one. And then I've not checked to see how long Batman Forever is. So now I'll look into
shorter, isn't it? I mean, the guys at Rocky Minute are talking already about the next season and the season after that because the runtime of the Rocky movies drops off drastically.
Yeah, they get super short. Like one of them is not even 90 minutes long.
I think that's the fourth one, and half of it's montage.
Yeah.
I do kind of always want to say, if I'm ever talking to Doug Greenberg, it's like, oh, if I can be on the fourth one, let me be on for the montage, and then just see what he does.
Which one?
To see which one he ends up giving me.
Oh, I do like that movie, but most movies under 90 minutes, that's a worrying sign to me.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a thing with that now. Like, I used to be happy with movies of any length, but now I do get to a point of, like, particularly if I'm putting it on at like 9 or 10 p.m. and I notice there's a runtime. It actually happened to me the other day. I finally got my hands on a copy of Aquaman, and I was like, okay, I'm finally gonna watch this movie. And then I saw that it was 2.5 hours, and I went, no. And I was just gonna lie gathering dust until I can put 2.5 hours, put an entire night of my life aside to watch Aquaman.
This is why I'm always behind with my movie watching, and people make fun of me because there's not only me, but I have to watch movies with Lol, my partner, former guest of the show. Because if I watch it on my own, she'll be annoyed, and I'll feel bad, and so we have to both be in the mood for like a 3-hour movie, which is rare.
Right.
Especially after work, and then you need to cook, and by the time you get the film on, it's 9:00.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then I couldn't even imagine if you've got kids. Jesus.
Yeah, but it's getting to a point now where I'm just like, I look up a runtime or something, and if I see it's like 1 hour and 20 minutes, I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be great. I can watch that and go around the rest of my life.
Well, I'm a big fan of like old film noir from the 40s, and I love that a lot of them are B films, and so a lot of them are like 63 minutes or 71 minutes because they would run before another movie. So like those you can knock out easily. You know, it's like, hey.
So the train, right on the carriages here, they've got various cages.
Yeah.
And as the organ grinder pulls up, the gang rush out. And out of the homes, and they chuck the babies into these cages. But the strict revised draft, as I always bring up, it has a bit I enjoy very much. Just the wording, and there's a little nod to something that's coming. I was going to say coming soon. I believe it might be out now. It says, "The wagons are barred more heavily than in Dumbo, reminiscent, in fact, of Penguin's playpen of yore."
Oh.
Yeah, so not only is it cool that it mentions Dumbo because Tim Burton, but I didn't realize it was supposed to be like a callback to the penguin in the cage.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that actually is. I hadn't made the connection between, because I guess his cage was so kind of like a signature cage because it was like a box with little tiny bars, but this is like a normal cage. So yeah, I never made the connection myself actually.
Yeah.
But it's still children locked in cages, so yeah, makes sense.
I do like though is the penguin making a like a social justice statement here, because he said he's gonna take, what did he say, Gotham's most promising, and then he shows up in this neighborhood that is like by all the looks of it the worst neighborhood in Gotham City. You know, it's got all the bail bond shops and the check cashing stores, and this doesn't look like, the fancy neighborhood.
Yeah, it looks like where I live.
Yeah, or like where I live. But is he saying like that the kids with the most promise are coming not from the the fancy mansions, but they're the kids coming from difficult circumstances?
Oh, that's interesting, because in some ways, he might identify more with these kids himself, and he thinks he's promising.
Right.
Because although he came from the upper crust, he was tossed aside immediately, and he's one of the street kids almost.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be something, though, if he had actually got things mixed up, because he arrived at the masquerade ball saying, like, that's right, they're fanning out across town for your children and all this business. And then, like, he's like, oh, yeah, go to the fancy neighborhoods and go get the fancy kids. And then the organ grinder wasn't paying attention, so he just went and got any kids. And if his plan had succeeded, he's shown up, the Penguin would just be like, who the hell are these kids? And then all the concerned parents at the masquerade ball arriving home like, oh, thank God he went to the wrong house.
Oops.
Like one of those parents getting outraged, like, wait, my kid's not one of the most promising kids?
Oh. Every parent thinks their kid is promising. That's the problem.
Yeah, but then with these scandals lately, you're gonna have some of these wealthy parents are gonna be trying to bribe the Penguin to take their kids too.
Oh yes, like please kidnap him, please. I just want him to look important. I could see that happening genuinely. That is a crazy story. Because did you see they were photoshopping pictures of their kids into sporting photos?
Yeah.
So they looked like, oh, look, my kid does water polo. They're cool.
I was intrigued by it because his name only came up after, but I remember the beginning of the whole thing was like Felicity Huffman is involved in this. And it was only a couple of days later, like, she's married to William H. Macy. Like, he might have had his hand in that too, but like, I was like, everyone wanted to go after her first, and I was like, oh yeah, the arguably more famous guy was just gonna sit back and like, oh, Felicity, how could you?
Is that because they have evidence that it was something to do with her and not him? Or is that old-fashioned sexism, assuming the woman has more to do with the raising of the child?
From what I've heard, it's evidence. Like, they have direct evidence that she's on tape, and they don't have it for him.
Oh,
but I think they suspect he's just as involved. They just don't have maybe what it would take to convict him.
Oh, no. Please say it's not true. I love him.
I
do too, yeah.
I do kind of want to see a police tape, though, of them finally going to arrest him, and it's just like the end of Fargo, where they break in his door, and he's trying to climb out the window in his underpants and stuff.
That'd be great.
But anyway, we got the very impatient organ grinder saying, like, oh, you got those kids in there yet? It's like it's been 6 seconds, dude. Jesus Christ, give them some time.
Well, let me just sympathize with the gang here, right? Because earlier on today, I had the doorbell go because I get my shopping delivered from the supermarket because I don't want to go, and if I go to the supermarket, I want to punch everyone. They just annoy me. So I get it delivered.
Uh-huh.
He rings the bell. In the process of me standing up and heading towards the front door, he's got so impatient, he's rang my mobile phone. It's like, I was about 4 seconds, you piece of crap. Wait for me. So I know how it feels.
Well, now we know what happened to the organ grinder after this movie.
Yeah. He works for Tesco delivery.
But it's funny because he's like in this mad hurry to get the kids loaded, and then he's going to start driving off, and he's going to be going, 2 miles an hour.
That's right, yeah.
Unless there's a secret rocket engine in this thing.
Yeah. It's a good thing there's no cops around, because this would be the easiest thing to catch in the world.
Yeah. I'm not sure they thought this went through.
It reminds me of something that only me, Niall, and maybe a couple of listeners who are English, most of our listeners are American, will understand. It just makes me think of Father Ted, where you've got Dougal on the milk float.
Yeah.
And it's basically a parody of Speed, but he's delivering the milk. So it goes about 2 miles an hour, but he can't go. Is it below that? Now, what is it now?
I think it's like if it goes over 5 miles per hour, the bomb is armed. But if it goes under 5 miles per hour, and it's just like literally you could just step off the thing and walk away at any point.
And the great plan to save him is the other priests pull up next to him in a car and just start giving mass. That's the grand plan, and then it didn't help So they go back to plan again, and they come up with their other scheme is, we could say mass again.
But then yeah, we do get the fantastic shot here though of Organ Grinder looks forward and then sees the silhouette of Batman doing his old school Dracula cape thing. We haven't seen this. We haven't seen Batman do this since the first movie, I don't think.
Yeah.
I just think Batman's a bit of a diva here. Like because he stands there waiting until the Organ Grinder looks up. Like he's just standing there, he's just waiting to do his big reveal.
Oh, he's all about appearances, Batman.
Yeah.
He likes to spread fear.
To be fair though, if I had a silhouette that looked that cool,
Oh
I'd
yeah,
probably
absolutely. You
be
could
behind
not do it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be hard though. He's got to just be up there giggling like this is gonna be so good, like just waiting for the Organ Grinder to look up.
Well, it's the same thing he did when we first saw him in the beginning of the first movie. And I remember we had a whole thing about that because that was when the two thieves and that were doing like, oh, there ain't no bat and all that stuff. And then he must have been standing there for ages. And then he had to kind of like, they heard something behind him as if Batman was standing there waiting. And he's like, I better like rustle some rocks with my shoe here or something just so they notice that I'm behind them. So at this point, yeah, he might have been like, oh Christ, there's nothing here. Like, I'm going to have to like maybe tap my foot or something on this guy's head.
Well, that's what you need to do. It's all part of creating in the world the character of the Batman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This also reminded me, there's a very subtle joke I love in the Return of the Caped Crusaders. I don't know if you've seen it, Pete. Like the recent animated movie that Adam
No,
West.
I haven't.
Oh, it's fantastic. Really,
Okay.
Well worth a look into. But there's a scene in that where like all the crooks are together. So it's like the Joker, Penguin, Catwoman, the Riddler, all doing their thing, and they're beside an open door, and all of a sudden this silhouette, like the really terrifying, like cool looking bat silhouette, flaps the cape up, and they're like, "Oh my God, Batman!" And they look over. And it's just the really, unimpressive looking Adam West, just kind of with his floppy cape held up. But for some reason, he imposes this really terrifying looking silhouette.
Love it.
But that is the thing, yeah, because we get the shocked look of the Organ Grinder's face, and then we know something's gonna come up. But I guess we have to wait the next minute to cover exactly what happens to the Organ Grinder. So
He's in trouble though.
yeah,
Yep.
I was gonna go into that. We're
In trouble. I love Shampoo. They're an underrated band. Listen to the song Bouffant Headbutt, everyone. It's wonderful. You're going to have to beep it out, but the chorus just goes, "You're f***ing dead."
That's weird, because that was the spin-off single for the Power Rangers movie, wasn't it?
What?
I remember that. Maybe it wasn't them doing it, but I remember that song was tied in with the Power Rangers movie that came out like around the same time Batman Forever came out.
Oh my God. Well,
I'll look into it to see if it definitely. I'll do a quick Google here now just to make sure.
what a movie.
I mean, it is something, but
it's a movie, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly does exist. Here, apparently, it is Shampoo, but the rest of the soundtrack album, holy crap! This has got like, the Power Rangers movie soundtrack album features songs from Red Hot Chili Peppers, not as in favor with people as they used to be.
Yeah.
It also has Are You Ready by Devo on there.
Huh.
It's got The Power by Snap.
Oh yeah, that was a tune.
Yeah, Kung Fu Dancing by Carl Douglas, Fun Thomas. It's got Van Halen on it.
What?
It's got
Yeah, because
Free
Van
Ride.
Halen was all the rage with the kids in those days.
But it's also got They Might Be Giants on there as well with the Sense Surrounds. Like, holy crap, this is a good album. They got
Can you get this on vinyl? I'm going to buy it.
Imagine like 95, you probably would have got it on vinyl.
Yeah. Yep.
Although we do have to get in, of course, another movie released in 95 that had an insane soundtrack album is, of course, the soundtrack for Batman Forever. But we'll get to that next year.
Oh, yeah. I do love the music. I love all the Batman songs. I'm excited to talk about all Smashing Pumpkins when we get to that.
Yeah. Well, to the fact, though, I'd mentioned to a former guest of the show, we can cut this out because it's too much of a tangent, but on the Batman Forever soundtrack, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds are on there. Like, they're on that album.
Holy
It's like,
crap,
how?
I forgot about that.
How did that happen?
I did too.
Yeah, but mention that to Gaz because he's the biggest Nick Cave fan I know, and even he was like, "What?"
Yeah, not only is he the biggest Nick Cave fan, he's the other biggest Batman fan we know other than you now.
Yeah,
Wow.
But of course, that's all for next season. But
We'll get there.
but yeah, I'm kind of noted out for this minute in terms of what's happening, with the action and whatnot.
Yeah, that's about it, isn't it? It's the organ
Yeah.
grinders in trouble, as we said. What will happen?
But at this point, we'd usually ask the guests about their experience with the movie. Pete, do you have any fond memories of going to see this when it came out, or do you have any sort of stories tied into Batman Returns at all?
No. I mean, I enjoyed it. I was never a huge superhero movie guy or comic book guy, so I really enjoyed the first Batman when it came out, and I enjoyed this one a lot when it came out too, because I really I loved Tim Burton at that time and stuff. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun, but nothing special really stood out for watching it.
Do you have a favorite out of the two?
This one definitely.
Yes, nice one. See,
I like because it's a little more over the top Tim Burton, and it's Danny DeVito, and I love that.
That's the same for me, and I've noticed a trend in that people who aren't as into superhero movies, because I'm not either. I am a movie fan. Not as much a superhero fan. I like some, I dislike others. People who aren't huge on superheroes seem to gravitate to this one more, because it is less typical Batman. It's less typical superhero. It's just weird. It's a weird movie.
Which I love. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is a superhero movie where the villain talks about blowing up people's erogenous zones.
Yeah. Oh, it's finally coming. We've been talking about that line the whole show. I think it's like 2 weeks away. It might even be next week.
Yeah, we're almost there. So,
And I love the dark circus thing, and I love how the whole town is, all of Gotham City's kind of this, kind of, I don't even know how to describe, kind of this chiaroscuro, like noir, expressionistic town. It's just out of a fever dream. I love all of the artwork and it's great.
It's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, they based a lot of the animated series on this look, definitely. Well, we will head off into the dark, dark night. And Pete, I'm sure our listeners all know where you're from and where to find you, but just in case, would you like to promote your wonderful show?
Thank you. Yeah, we do what you guys do with Batman, but with Indiana Jones. And you can find us at indianajonesminute.com. Anywhere you can find Batman Minute. Is it still Batminute 89, or is it officially?
It's Batman.
Batman Minute.
It's generally just Bat Minute, but we've been referring to this season as Bat Minute Returns. And then
Okay.
We decided to brand the show as Bat Minute, and then the seasons can have a subtitle.
Yeah. So like next year it'll be introduced as like Bat Minute Forever and stuff like that. So
Nice. Okay, yeah.
But Bat
anywhere
Minute and
you
Robin
can
will be
find-
confusing. Sorry.
That will be. Although you probably won't find us at batminute.com.
No. We need a .com. We haven't got one.
Oh.
that was a strange thing that did happen in the minutes page, where I think it was after we finished our first season. Some guy popped up. He's like, "I was going to do Batman 1989, but I can't do it anymore. But I've bought the .com." So it was like BatmanMinute.com or something. And it's like, "Does anyone want this?" And people kept tagging like me and John, going like, "You guys want this?" And we're like, "Well, we're done with that season, so no."
Plus, I can't be bothered with a website at the moment. Maybe we'll get round to it.
Yeah.
But
I said it a bunch of times. I don't remember the last time I went to visit an official website myself. But
Yeah.
well, with these shows, I've been to the Star Wars Minute one and the Indiana Jones Minute one.
Oh, you do work on the Indiana Jones ones, though, because you do have a lot of like notes from the episodes and stuff up there.
Yeah, and we have a whole little thing about why the movies are Han Solo's fever dream. Like,
Well, that is a great example of how to do a website, people. So not only listen to the show, because it's such a good show, it's perfect.
thank you.
But go and check that site out too. And they've got merch. We've only got a couple of shirts. They've got loads of cool shirts. So go there and have a look at those. And send us messages as well. Come onto our Facebook group, the Bat-Minute Listeners Cave. And we're on Twitter at Bat-Minute. Instagram, I always forget the Instagram now. The Bat-Minute. I think it's the
I believe
Bat-Minute.
it's the Bat-Minute, yeah.
And, review us on iTunes. That's always lovely. I'll buy you a pint. If you are ever in Liverpool, I'll take you to the pub down the road and buy you a pint if you review. You will have to produce evidence and proof that you reviewed and that it is you. I will need 3 forms of identification. I will need a character reference. But you will get your pint, or at very least maybe half a pint, depending how much I've spent throughout the month. And join us again for the next minute of Bat Minute Returns.
Next time, Rise of the Dawn of the Message of the Ape. A simian emissary schleps to the sewer with the Crusaders' correspondence, knocking Oswald out of his triumphant trance. But which battalion of birds will we see in their roost as the beastly Baron of Belligerence gives his Plan B a boost? Find out next time. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.